Hi, and welcome back to my channel. It's Tina, and I'm coming at you from the land in between Christmas and New Year's. I am totally unhinged right now. I feel very untethered. I have like 75 different little projects started in my home. My nails have never looked worse, and I'm happy. That kind of encapsulates the feeling right now. I thought I would start this vlog by sort of establishing a little bit about what I'm hoping to do with these vlogs as we head into 2025 and some of my goals for YouTube, as well as what I'm reading right now, because my reading life is in shambles. But first and foremost, I'm almost struggling with the vlogs, not because I don't love doing them, but because I also have a podcast that I'm very committed to. It's a weekly book recommendation podcast called Book Talk, etc. And in that, I co-host with Hannah from Handpicked Books, and she and I are sharing what we're reading. Each week we have a different topic, and sometimes we have guests, very rarely, but sometimes we have guests. And within it, it's just our reading life. And each week we are reviewing 3 books that we've recently read. Sometimes they're centered on topics. For example, we'll say historical fiction. Sometimes they're just general books, like books that made us cry or that have been sitting on our shelves for too long. And then sometimes there are things like books on the radar, where we're just sharing books that we're excited about for that month. Anyway, a lot of you probably listen to that podcast, and that's how you found me. My struggle, and I would love your feedback in the comments, is for the vlogs, I feel like it's a spoiler if I tell you in real time what I'm reading, and then you'll hear about it on the podcast in 2 to 3 weeks. I feel like, why then would you tune in to the podcast? One, maybe I'm overestimating how much people are paying attention. I know I am rarely paying that close of attention to what people are reading. And if I like somebody, I'll continue to read or listen to whatever they put out. So a piece of me is just like, screw it, be in the moment, post what you want, and post real-time reading updates to the vlog. And then the other piece of me is like, but is that a spoiler? So I would love to hear if you had any opinions on that, or if you have any comments to offer. And the reason why I'm interested more in the real-time reading on YouTube is that I forget, right? Like right now it's December 28th, and this vlog will probably go up the first Tuesday of the new year, which I think is New Year's Eve, actually, now that I'm saying that. And what I'm reading now, you won't hear about on the show for several weeks later. And I feel like it's a bit of a spoiler if you're like, hey, I've already heard her talk about that on the YouTube video, but I don't know how much overlap there is. Am I overthinking it? Perhaps, most likely. I also have another problem where I feel like I don't want to bring any books that I read in 2024 into any of my 2025 content. That is how my brain is working right now. So what if I just say, starting now, I think this is what I'm doing actually, because right now I've read 130 books. Starting today for this vlog, this is the first read for 2025. Is that allowed? I feel like it can be allowed, right? And I feel like I'm the only one that's actually going to care. So it's not that important, but I think that's what I'll do. To that end, what I'm reading Diavola by Jennifer Thorpe, I think is her name. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I obviously put the cover here. And this goes to show how unhinged I am right now, because we have a Discord for our patrons, and one of the patrons was in there talking about this book and asking if anybody had read it. And I was reading up what it's about, and basically it's about this family, and they're on a vacation in Italy, and it sounds like the house that they've rented is haunted. But somebody tagged me, they're like, I want to know what Tina Books thinks if she's not read it already, because I feel like she'd like it. So I was like, obviously, immediately, yes, let me download. So that's what I've done. I downloaded it. I'm very early. I'm like 4% in, so I'm still trying to figure out who's who, but lots of family tensions. I don't know why there's tension. I just get the vibe that they disagree with each other, as families do. And I will say it feels really good for this time of year, when people are coming off of spending a lot of time with families, or are still with families. So that is what I'm currently listening to. I'll also tell you about a book that I recently finished that I probably won't bring to the show. It is 25 Days by Jacobsen. And what on earth? What a clever idea. This is horror, although I've read some mixed thoughts on that. Some people are saying it's more of a thriller, but I think it's horror. And it's about a family, again, who is taking a vacation. They're going to this very, very remote cabin in a snowy mountain to spend time together. It's a mom, a dad, and then their two young girls. One's a teenager, one's, we'll say, in middle school. And they're there, and automatically, as soon as they get up the mountain, vibes are off. They're kind of creeped out by people. They stop at this gas station and they're made to feel like outsiders. And anyway, the vibes are very weird once they get there, but they figure, you know what, we've already paid for it. Let's keep going. Let's make the most of it. And then a red stocking gets hung. They check the stocking to see what's in it, and that's where the horrors kick off. What's interesting about the structure of this book is that it's called 25 Days because you are supposed to read it like an advent calendar. So you read one chapter a day leading up until Christmas Day. I did that for most of December. It was actually really fun to take in the story that way. Each of the 4 family members gets their own point of view. This book is brutal, totally gruesome. And I liked it. Did not love it. I enjoy it for what it was. I probably give it 3.5 stars. The writing was very basic. Some of the dialogue, I'm like, okay. It was a little cringy, and I would have loved to know more about why this family was being terrorized. You don't quite get that. But if you like gruesome horror, if you like, a survivalist story, I definitely was rooting for these characters, and I didn't really predict what was going to happen. So for those reasons, it was entertaining, but, not a favorite for the year. Another book that I read this week is Rental House by Wang, and that one I thought was really good. It's about this couple who are navigating their marriage and their families and identity and their decisions that they've made in their lives via their vacation home. So it's told in 3 parts. They're renting houses throughout 3 different occasions, and the first one was my favorite. The first one, they rent a house in the Cape for something like a month, and they invite his parents and her parents for separate weeks. They're in an interracial relationship. They come from very different walks of life. He comes from Appalachia, working class white family, and she comes from a Chinese family, and they're immigrants to the US. And so there's a lot of misunderstandings. They are the characters are semi unlikable, and it's a book about nothing. Somebody likened this to Seinfeld, and I totally see what she meant by that. I thought it was really sharp, and I appreciate more of a subtle book where not a ton happens, but a lot of good writing is happening, a lot of good dialogue is had, and that's what I got with this one. I also personally really liked what they had to say about interracial marriage, and like some of the microaggressions and the things that come up that you wouldn't think of. And there's a scene in particular at the beach where the woman gets sort of approached by another white woman, and she's like telling her basically she doesn't belong, and Caru's mother-in-law defends her. And then it talks about how it could have been this great moment where the mother-in-law was really trying, but then the mother-in-law kind of made it all about her. Like, what awful racist thing did she say? She wanted to rehash it, and in doing so further, embarrassed and hurt Caru's feelings. But overall, I definitely recommend this one. I gave it 4.5 stars. I think it's really sharp, particularly if you are somebody who's been married a while. It also has a couple that decided not to have kids, and I appreciate that angle because, of course, with that, it's a choice, and there are all the things that people are going to say about your decision to not have children. But I really enjoyed this one. I'm curious to read more by this author. I also read her previous book to this, Joan is Okay, and I thought it was just okay. That one was 3 stars for me. That one's about an ER doctor during the pandemic, and I remember not loving it. This one's really good, and I'm curious now about her debut, Chemistry, because I have heard good things, but she is an author who's now on my watch list. The other thing we're sharing on the podcast this week is our favorite books of 2024. Hannah and I each share 10, and we do a countdown. I definitely will be sharing a video to accompany that on my YouTube page. There's something going on, by the way. I'm at Target. I just did a pickup, and there's cops. There's an ambulance over here. So I won't lie. That's a piece of why I pulled over. I had wanted to do a video anyway, and I'm like, well, let me do it in vicinity where I can see what's going on, because I'm nothing if not nosy. So my plans for 2025 for the channel, I've been loving this medium. My biggest hurdle is going to be finding time to film. My ideas are coming out of my ass. I have so many ideas. I definitely have an abundance of ideas for videos I want to do, but it's the actual filming of it that I'm working on. Obviously I have 2 small young kids and they're always around and always talking, and of course they're the best, but it's hard to find time to sort of step away for an hour or so and get that done. But I'm going to work on it. I'm going to figure it out because I've really been enjoying it. In fact, I enjoy it so much that I want to do 2 videos a week. That might be a little lofty, but I think in doing so, I'm going to pivot away from shorter, like longer form videos like on TikTok and Reels, and lean more into YouTube, since TikTok might be going away anyway. And I want to build this platform. I want to continue to grow. I'm really thankful for, I think I have like over 500 subscribers right now, which is so cool for 2 months of doing YouTube. I think that's very good. My goal's 1,000. I would love to get to 1,000 by 6 months, which is April. And I want to continue to grow on here. So that's really it. That's all I wanted to hop on here and say. Other videos that I have in the works that you should be seeing soon are my best mystery and thriller of 2024, as well as my 2025 most anticipated reads. If you know me, you know that I'm obsessed with new releases. I track them religiously. And something else I've been doing on my winter break is tracking new releases, filling out my new release spreadsheet, and just getting those on, getting the excitement brewing. I've been doing really well with not requesting them on NetGalley. I just sort of flag them or note them or put a hold on Libby. But each week I do a video I call New Release Tuesday, and that is where I share about the new books that are coming out that day that you might want to add to your TBR. I will definitely continue that in the new year. I think 2025 is going to be a fantastic publishing year, so very excited to see more to come. I hope you have a happy new year. If you had time off, I hope you had a good break. I'm certainly enjoying it. I just feel so untethered. I feel like I do much better when I have a schedule. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.